It just takes a little bit of patience to get access to the valves. Just try it one day in your garage, and you will realize that it is fun, fun. It is fun, fun. It is fun, 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 fun. I'm a drummer, by the way. Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, so yeah, like I said, party time. So guys, in this video today, we are going to be cleaning the intake valves on the Mazdaspeed 3. Basically, we got to get the intercooler off, we got to get the intake manifold off. We're going to take the intake off as well because we're trying to sort out a little bit of a tuning issue. There might be a slight air leak in here somewhere, causing a little bit of a lean air-to-fuel ratio on turbo spool up. So it'll be a good chance for us to check and verify everything and, you know, make sure the engine is in tip-top shape. As many of you have... Okay, so we're going to get access to the intake valves, and then we'll walk you through the steps on how to decarbonize and clean the intake valves properly so that none of that crap gets actually into the cylinders. And how do we do that? Well, you rotate the engine over until you're onto the compression stroke of that particular cylinder, and then both intake valves will be closed, which will allow us to clean the valves without all the carbon and soot and sludge going into the actual engine. I haven't told you about this, but here's the new Cobb bypass valve, the XLE bypass valve that we installed. It actually works flawlessly with the Guardian Angel over here. Like, as soon as, like, I set it to 10 psi, and once it hits 10 psi, this thing opens perfectly and just dumps all the boost, and it's just nice and smooth, and it's not, you know, like, it doesn't shock you when it happens. It's just a very smooth boost cut. So that's definitely a good combo right there, the Cobb and the Guardian Angel. So let's get to it.
First thing you need is a lot of brake cleaner. Some of the good stuff. You need some long picks just to scrape off those valves. You can old toothbrushes and stuff like that, but we're gonna go with
there's
picks.
other ways to do it. You can use a media blaster.
Media blasters are nice. They're not something we have at a homestead garage, but we'll make do. We have an air compressor, so we're gonna just try and blast out all the gook after scraping it with some picks and brake clean. Hopefully that'll help us clean it out. The next thing you need is refreshments. Without this, it's just all pointless. There's just no point to anything. Let's get started.
Yeah. Start by snipping these zip ties off. That's one thing I didn't bring. It's a snipper.
Oh, well, you know what? Let's just put it back together and quit then.
Gotta get the battery out because it's kind of in the way.
And you don't need to do this if you're cleaning your valves. He's doing this because he's got a...
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, it does help because you can get access to the few bolts on the side when you take the intake out. And the way to take the intake out is to take the battery out. So let's do that. And I just want to have horsepower. That's all I want. Safe horsepower, of course. If you're not sure about your vehicle, the state of health of your vehicle, do not start tuning it for power. Because you need to be 100% sure that everything is working correctly and working safely and efficiently before you start tuning for power.
Eric, take out the battery, all right? Okay, he pulled the battery out.
Now to take the battery tray out. I've done this way too many times. I gotta move on in life. Try different things.
Like a Volkswagen.
Like a built motor. No, I'm kidding. Who knows? There's that tranny mount. Jbr. Got the intake off, and we're trying to figure out that leak again. So I'm just gonna verify that these little nipples here are tight. I noticed that this one was kind of loose, so you know what? I'm gonna go a little bit further and tighten it. Hopefully this fixes out that lean spike we're having.
You want to describe that lean spike?
Yeah. So basically, when the turbo spools up, like if you start your data log in 4th gear at 2,500 RPM, it goes into open loop. It starts targeting 11.6, and then all of a sudden when the turbo gets to the max spool area, it spools up quickly and it goes lean to about 12 for a split second. And no matter how much I do to try to cure that lean spike with the MAF calibration, it still spikes lean. So there's got to be a quick leak somewhere when it quickly spools and it's sucking extra air in from probably these parts right here.
So
but I did clean the MAF sensor. I also cleaned the MAF sensor, so that might have cured it as well. But we're just gonna tighten this up, make sure it's good.
Socks and sandals might help your situation.
I'm good. Just making noises. We're good there. There's not a lot of oil coming out of here. take this off.
There's your nozzle right there.
Kicks on at 10 psi. It's a stage 1 snow performance kit.
When's the last time you checked the tightness on that?
Not for a while, but I think it's good. We can double check it later. Homemade nozzle adapter. Now, gotta disconnect these lines. Since we're cleaning the valves, we've already got an oil catch can installed. I'm gonna go ahead and, for the time being, just disconnect the EGR valve so it doesn't open and recirculate the exhaust gases back into the intake. This is just basically so we can keep the valves clean for longer. And then eventually I'm gonna put just an EGR delete plate, just where it comes out of this pipe here. This is the EGR pipe that recirculates the exhaust gases. At some point, I'm just gonna put a plate here and take the tube off and cap the intake manifold off with the plug that's provided. So here's the EGR connector here. I'm gonna disconnect it and disable the check engine light. Basically, it's just gonna prevent the EGR valve from even opening and recirculating all the nasty, dirty exhaust gases back into the intake, just so we can keep the valves clean for longer until I get the EGR delete kit. The next step is going to be to take the throttle body off, so we can then gain access to the EGR pipe. Disconnect the EGR pipe. Ooh, these bolts have been loosened and tightened so many times. Like, one day I'm worried they're just gonna break.
Maybe you should stop fucking with your engine then.
There are so many things you can do to get more power out of these cars that it starts to become
expensive. He's taking off the EGR from the side where it mounts to the block. He does not have the proper tooling.
I don't have a 22 mil. I left it at work.
To take that off. You can tell it's been off a few times. See that? Look at all the scratches. Why don't we file that down to like a 16?
No.
I have a 16. I have a 16, we can do that. Okay, we found an adjustable wrench that comes close. We're gonna shave it down with the angle grinder. This is where I come in. That's better.
Why do I have such a hard time focusing?
It's because you suck. Okay.
Looks like it goes on. Ooh, it's gonna be tight. Let me get in here.
Want to use penetrating fluid?
Ooh, that's tight.
Here, use some penetrating
No,
fluid.
I don't need it.
Okay.
It's just I don't have enough leverage.
All right, tough guy.
Oh, there we go.
So, the angle grinder saved the day. EGR is out.
Let's leave it over here, where it belongs, on the exhaust side. It's not necessary to take these out, but I want to take these out because I want to double check the spark plugs to make sure that everything looks good on the spark plug side. Basically just going to check for any abnormal spark plug wear, because we were tuning it a little while ago and just want to see how the combustion chamber is.
See if Eric fried the spark plugs or not.
I want to see if there's any oil leaking from the valve cover gasket. Let me see the light. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. All looks good there.
I don't know, YouTube. Looks to me like he's got a really bad case of four-cylinderitis. Just looking for where the intake manifold is. That's why it's taking so long. Oh, I found it.
Just got these out of the way. Dipstick connected to the manifold, not disconnected from the manifold. Now we're going to raise the car, take the belt off, move the power steering out of the way, power steering pump. Then we'll take the intake manifold off, and then we'll rotate the engine over and get each cylinder with the valves completely closed and we'll clean the valves.
Everything.
I know.
Mastercraft in our way to freedom. It makes some weird sounds, doesn't it?
Springs. Springs make noise.
Okay, take off the wheel. I like
Yes, sir.
I like your wheels, man. I like them.
I thought you didn't like them. I thought you wanted me to paint them.
So it's on and off. I like them because they're not on my car.
You gotta start doing some stuff to your car.
It's not worth it anymore, man.
Don't say that on Wannabe Tuner's YouTube channel.
The tap of faith.
225s on a 9-inch rim.
Look at that screw right there.
Where?
No, I'm just kidding.
BF Goodrich Corksport Comp 2 all seasons.
Wouldn't it be cool if car manufacturers just put the serpentine belt pattern right here? Just like a nice little, that's how it goes. But no, we gotta pizza box it. And by we, I mean Eric. And I just have to complain about it on camera.
It just takes patience. You gotta be patient.
Hospitals take patience.
It's a good one. Where'd you learn that?
Severe boredom.
Okay, so we've got our diagram drawn out for the 50th time in life. Let's take the belt off.
So the procedure here is very simple. Eric's gonna do the hard part by pulling back on the tensioner, and I'm just going to slip the belt right off of the power steering pump.
Pulling the tensioner now.
Can't use that now, because that is a hate crime.
Pull it off.
It's off. And now it's a simple case of loosening the power steering pump, tilting her to the side,
No, we're gonna just
pulling this out.
Yeah, we'll tilt it to the side. We'll just tilt it to the side.
Yeah,
We don't have to
get
remove
it out of the way.
because we got the belt off, so it allows us to turn the crank over by hand anyways because the belt's out of the way.
The benefit of doing this all the time means you never have a loose bolt. Because, I mean, you're checking them every week because you're in the engine every week.
Every week's kind of an exaggeration. Yeah, they never cease.
Look at that motor mount.
Got the, basically, taking off the bolts for the intake manifold at this moment in time.
And then we're going to rotate the crankshaft until all the valves, one by one, in each cylinder close up, allowing us to spray in brake cleaner and not worry about flooding our cylinders with crap.
Yeah, this bolt kind of sucks. This job here actually was kind of last minute. We weren't really thinking of doing it this weekend. It was kind of sporadic, so I forgot a few important tools. For example, the EGR pipe wrench, which was obviously a 22 millimeter.
That was fun. We made one. We fixed it. We got it going.
And then obviously I forgot a magnet, because the magnet would be perfect to retrieve this bolt once it's fully loose. You in a good mood right now?
Oh yeah,
Because that's important.
this is good. We're having fun.
Disconnect the connector here.
We're having fun. I like that sound. It's like a...
I know, it's like a...
There we go. Awesome.
Look at them dirty valves.
This is the fun part. We just have to clean. That's all.
Let me take the manifold gasket off so I
simple
don't
now.
damage it. I'm gonna disconnect the map sensor,
That's important.
the 3-bar Bosch map sensor.
Oh, there you go. These are what we're cleaning today.
You know what, those aren't too bad. I'm dreading what mine look like, man. I've never done mine.
Yeah, yours are probably really dirty. Can I take a look inside?
No, not really. This is my car.
Gosh, those are really gunky.
So let's spin that crankshaft. Let's get those valves to close on cylinder 1. We'll start by cleaning cylinder per cylinder per cylinder. We only have to do this 4 times. This is good.
I haven't deleted
There.
the VTCS, the flappers, because I don't want the cold start pops and stuff like that. For my horsepower goals, the stock intake manifold seems to be good enough. How about this? How about just film when you have something important to say?
I always have something important to say. How dare you?
We're gonna crank the engine over by hand until we get the 2 intake valves on cylinder 1 to fully close on the compression stroke, and then we're gonna start by cleaning out and blasting out cylinder number 1, and then we'll do that for each of the 4 cylinders. I'm gonna use this to rotate the engine over. 21 millimeter socket. Rotate clockwise only. Oh man, there's no room anymore.
Eric, are you in a good mood right now?
No, I'm not. Because you're not in a good mood.
I'm in a horrible mood. Because I gotta work on a Mazda.
Okay, so Julian, I need you to take a look at cylinder number 1, the valves, and tell me when they start to close.
They're not moving anymore, so you might be in the compression stroke.
It could be on the compression stroke or it could be on the exhaust stroke, either one. Now that they're closed, that's the important thing. We're gonna spray some brake cleaner in there and then use our nice long picks and start scrubbing away. And then we'll use the air blower to blow it out. That's really caked on there. It's gonna take some time, but we're just trying to clean it out as best we can. This gets messy real quick. Zip up.
How's it looking?
Horrible.
Yeah, it looks
That
even
stuff's
worse.
really caked on there.
All right, well, we have to do a couple rounds. That's all that means.
So I'm finding that when I'm using this pick here to try to get that crud out, I find what works is that when you actually just scrape away at it and just keep scraping, it stays all inside there. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm just scraping and I'm using this as a scoop. What you want to do is have a really, really light layer of brake clean in there, and then just use this to break it down and then scoop it out. Alright guys, we just finished cylinder number 1. Keep in mind we did this by hand, so it's not perfect. The idea here is to basically apply a small amount of brake cleaner, because if you apply too much and you use the air blower to blow it out, it just goes everywhere.
Done by hand, and there is an improvement. There we go. Oh, come on.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, we did this by hand, and it's not going to be perfect by hand. But the idea is just to basically scoop as much of it out as possible with using the least amount of brake cleaner, because the more you use, the more it likes to blow all over the place when you use the air blower. So small layers at a time, and just slowly scoop it out with the picks that you have at hand.
It looks a lot better than how it used to. Let's try to get a picture of an uncleaned one. This is cylinder 2, which we're about to start.
So that is the cylinder number 2. It looks much dirtier than the cylinder number 1.
Okay, so now that we're done with cylinder 1, we're gonna turn the engine over until cylinder 2's intake valves close, and then we'll get to cleaning cylinder 2, and then we'll do 3 and 4. All right, cylinder 2. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, now I'm turning the engine over clockwise until we can get cylinder 2 intake valves to close completely. It's kind of hard when you're using a really small ratchet.
Okay, cylinder 2 valves are coming down. You got a long way to go. All right, valves are opening. Taking in all that fresh oxygen. It's closing. I think that might be it. Yeah, the valves aren't moving. You're closed.
Okay.
Spray some brake cleaner in there and let's start it again.
Okay, so right now what I'm doing is, before I even spray the brake cleaner, I'm just trying to scoop out as much of it as possible initially. And then once I get near the end, I'll start spraying small layers of brake cleaner on there just to try to dislodge some of the final segments of that crap.
These are almost as bad as my teeth. Oh, look at that. Oh man. Picking your engine's nose. And it is your engine's nose because that's where the air goes in. That's good. Look at these nostrils.
It's a very time-consuming process, and you got to be patient, and it's a good idea to switch hands every once in a while, because if you just use one hand the whole time, your wrist is going to be killing. Also, it's just basically a point of just slowly scooping it out, rubbing it off on the rag there.
Eric, it's enough.
So one thing that does help is just kind of going at it pretty quickly. Just exactly what Julian's doing there. It saves a little bit of time. Even the intake manifold runners are pretty dirty themselves, covered in oil. I'm gonna clean that out as well. These T-bolt clamps are quite amazing, I gotta say. They clamp down very well and guarantee no boost leaks. These rims here are replica Volk TE37 rims. They weigh about the same as the OEM rims, but they're a lot wider. They're 9 inches wide, and I've got 225s on there. So it gives a little bit of a stretch, but gives a nice stance as well. How's it coming, Julian?
I think you should just sell it. Just sell it, buy something that's port injection, and never have to worry about this again.
See, by applying only a small amount of brake cleaner, it doesn't spray all over the garage door here. This is good though, because this is something you can do, and now I can take a break.
Eric doesn't trust me with his car.
I trust you with this though, because this is brainless.
Because I can't break it with picks. He knows his valves are harder than my picks.
These picks are good though. You don't want to get the short ones, you want to get the long picks so they can actually reach the valves. And it's nice to have a good assortment of picks, 90 degree not so much, but curved ones, 45, straight, you know, a whole bunch is good, so you can come at it at different angles. There's a lot of things you could try, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very small port and it's hard to get anything in there realistically. I think the best thing, truthfully, is probably those media blasters. Walnut shell blasters, also known as. You could probably rent them, because this is a painstaking process. But you know what? This is going to be good for a little bit more flow. It might even free up a little bit of restriction in the intake, and that might actually allow you to run a little bit more airflow at a lower boost pressure, because boost pressure is determined by how much restriction there actually is, right? Airflow is actually what's important to make power. So if you can clear a nice path out for as much air to get into the cylinders as possible, you'll actually be running less boost, but with more airflow. That makes sense, doesn't it? You know how I know that we don't have any boost leaks from this gasket? You see the oil buildup there? It doesn't look like it's seeping towards the outside of the gasket. It's all contained. Goes to show that this gasket is not leaking. Just checking the spark plugs. Looks all right.
You'll find that the picks keep slipping off the valve stems. So we used a flathead, but use a really cheap, crappy flathead. Because if you have a piece of metal that's hardened and it's harder than the valve, you'll end up scoring the valve, which you don't want to do. So make sure you're using a metal that's softer than the valve. So go with like the cheapest crap you can find.
And this is good for cleaning the actual valve stem because it's larger surface area, right?
That means you can actually scrape the valve stem without having to worry about it slipping off.
So that's cylinder 2 now. Pretty clean compared to what they were before. Go to cylinder 3 for a second.
That's our next.
That's our next victim. How's it going?
I don't know, man. I'm getting a bit discouraged with this crap.
Why?
I don't know. I need motivation.
Here you go. Drink up, young one. Not on my car! What the hell, man? I'm trying to help you.
Dude, how much do you expect me to frickin' drink in one go?
I didn't realize it. I don't know how much is coming out. Flow, man. Airflow. Come on.
I'm not your engine.
So to clean the walls off a little bit of the ports, I'm just basically taking a rag and just using the handle side of the pick, just running this through like this, just applying a small layer of brake cleaner and just kind of going along the walls like so. Because when we blow it out, all that crud and stuff tends to build up on the wall and you can just wipe it off with this.
We found it easier to actually start each valve just picking at it before applying brake cleaner, and then you can end up taking off a lot of the heavy particles
without making a big mess.
Shot of the after.
That might be okay. That's a lot better than it was before, that's for sure. Okay.
Just clean the surface off here so we can put the intake manifold back on. Give me a little squirt here.
Did you reconnect the map sensor?
Yes, I did.
Did you connect the PCV hose?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay.
EGR comes after this.
Yeah.
And we're closing it up for another week. When's the next time you're gonna be in here? Tomorrow.
Don't know.
You still have to paint the manifold.
That is true, but I might be more addicted to the power instead.
Okay, let's just put the engine back together. I'm just too tired for this.
Mass airflow sensor.
Oh, mass airflow sensor, disconnect.
Mass airflow sensor, disconnected. I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. I want to put this in, take my back on.
This is what it looks like when you do engine work in the middle of a club. Imagine dropping a screw in the middle of that. all right, everybody. Hang on a second. Sir, you just kicked my screw. Sir, hang on. I see it. Ah, you kicked it again.
More importantly, we're putting in the 10 mils that hold the intake manifold on.
Oh crap, the intake manifold gasket.
I got it.
He's sharp. He's sharp as a hammer.
I don't want to wait for the crying out loud, lad.
Do you have a washer fluid level low sensor?
Yes.
And you have a check up here. That's pretty convenient because I don't have a check up here. You push this little guy in, pull it up, and you see that you have absolutely no washer fluid left. I'm helping. Notice how the arms are that of an adolescent buffalo.
Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video of us cleaning the intake valves. Not gonna lie to you, our heads weren't completely in it on this video because we've been drinking a lot, so hope you enjoyed guys.